When it comes to relationships, recognizing when your partner's feelings may have shifted can be challenging and painful. Understanding the signs that someone may be in love with someone else is crucial for maintaining clarity in your relationship. This video explores 10 clear signs that might indicate she's in love with someone else, ranging from changes in communication and emotional distance to new habits and secretive behaviors. Each sign is explained in detail to help you recognize potential issues in your relationship. Welcome to another Tip Daily video. 1. Emotional distance. Emotional distance can be one of the hardest things to detect because it often happens gradually. You might find that she's not as open with you as she once was. In the past, she may have shared everything with you, her hopes, dreams, fears, and even the little details of her day. But now, those conversations seem to have dried up. When you try to talk about your feelings or the relationship, she might seem disinterested or even dismissive. This emotional withdrawal can make you feel like you're living with a stranger rather than the person you once felt so connected to. You might also notice a lack of empathy or concern for your feelings. For example, if you're going through something difficult and she doesn't seem to care or isn't offering the same support she used to, it could be a sign that her emotional focus is elsewhere. Emotional distance doesn't just affect how much she shares with you, but also how much she engages with what you share. This kind of detachment can create a void in the relationship, leaving you feeling isolated and confused. 2. Changes in communication patterns. Communication is the backbone of any relationship, so when you notice changes in how she communicates with you, it can be a significant red flag. In the beginning, she might have been the one initiating conversations, sending cute texts throughout the day, or calling you just to hear your voice. But now, those texts have become fewer and far between, and when she does respond, the messages are short and lack the warmth they once had. Perhaps you've also noticed that she takes longer to reply, or sometimes doesn't respond at all. This might leave you feeling anxious, wondering if she's losing interest. It's also possible that she's spending more time on her phone, but when you ask who she's talking to, she's evasive or vague. A sudden change in communication patterns can be one of the most telling signs that she's emotionally investing in someone else. If she's no longer excited to share her day with you or seems distracted when you're together, it could be because she's focused on someone else. 3. Increased secrecy. Secrecy is another major indicator that something might be wrong. If she's suddenly more protective of her phone or her social media accounts, this could be a sign that she's hiding something. For example, she might start taking her phone with her everywhere, even to places where she didn't before, like the bathroom or into another room when she gets a message. You might also notice that her phone is always on silent, or that she's quick to flip it over when you're nearby. Another red flag is that she becomes defensive when you ask about her day or who she's been spending time with. She might give vague answers, change the subject, or even accuse you of being paranoid. Secrecy can also extend to her social media behavior. If she's suddenly changing her passwords, being more private about her posts, or even hiding her online activity, it could be because she's communicating with someone else in a way she doesn't want you to see. 4. Less interest in intimacy. Intimacy is a vital part of any romantic relationship, so when it starts to fade, it can be incredibly painful and confusing. If she's less interested in physical intimacy, such as kissing, cuddling, or sex, it might be because her feelings are shifting. This isn't just about the physical act of intimacy, but also the emotional connection that comes with it. You might notice that she's not as affectionate as she used to be, or that she pulls away when you try to initiate contact. There might be excuses: she's tired, stressed, or not in the mood, but if this becomes a pattern, it could indicate that her desire is being fulfilled elsewhere, or that she's emotionally checked out. Intimacy isn't just about physical closeness, it's also about feeling connected and valued by your partner. When that connection starts to fade, it can feel like a deep rejection, and it's often one of the most painful signs that something is wrong. 5. New friendships or social circles. If she's suddenly developing new friendships or spending more time with people you don't know, it's worth paying attention to. This isn't to say that making new friends is a bad thing. In fact, it's healthy to have a social life outside of the relationship. However, if she's spending a lot of time with someone new and seems more excited to be with them than with you, it could be a sign that her feelings are shifting. You might notice that she's talking about this new friend a lot, or that she's making plans that don't include you. Perhaps she's going out more often or attending events with this person, and you're left feeling like an outsider. It's also possible that she's become close with a group of people you're not familiar with, and she's more interested in spending time with them than with you. This can be particularly concerning if she starts to prioritize these new social connections over your relationship. 6. Criticism and comparison. Criticism and comparison are often signs that something is wrong in the relationship. If she's starting to criticize you more frequently, pointing out flaws that never seemed to bother her before, it could be because she's emotionally invested in someone else. This might manifest as nitpicking over small things, how you dress, how you talk, or even your habits. The criticism might seem unwarranted or overly harsh, leaving you feeling like you can't do anything right. Another red flag is if she starts comparing you to someone else, especially in a way that makes you feel inadequate. For example, she might mention how someone else is more successful, more attractive, or more thoughtful than you. This comparison can be incredibly damaging to your self-esteem and can create a toxic dynamic in the relationship. 7. A shift in priorities. A shift in priorities is another significant sign that her feelings might be changing. If she used to prioritize spending time with you, making plans for the future, or even just checking in regularly, but now seems more focused on other things, it could be a sign that her attention is elsewhere. Perhaps she's become more invested in her work, a new hobby, or her social life, and you're starting to feel like an afterthought. This shift in priorities can be subtle at first, but over time, it can lead to a significant imbalance in the relationship. You might find that you're always the one initiating plans, while she's less enthusiastic or even uninterested. Maybe she's canceling plans with you more often or seems distracted when you're together. It's also possible that she's making long-term plans that don't include you, which can be particularly concerning. 8. New interests or hobbies. People naturally develop new interests and hobbies, but if she suddenly takes up something new and seems deeply invested in it, especially if it's something that doesn't include you, it could be a sign that she's influenced by someone else. For example, she might suddenly become passionate about a new sport, activity, or cause that she's never shown interest in before. While it's great to have individual interests, if this new hobby seems to consume her time and energy, it might be worth considering where the influence is coming from. Often, when someone is developing feelings for another person, they'll start to adopt that person's interests as their own. This can be a way of connecting with the new person on a deeper level or finding common ground. If she's suddenly spending a lot of time on this new interest and seems less interested in the things you used to do together, it could be a sign that she's emotionally investing in someone else. 9. Less future planning together. Future planning is a natural part of any serious relationship, so when it stops, it's often a sign that something is wrong. If she's no longer interested in making future plans with you, whether it's something as simple as planning a weekend getaway or as big as discussing long-term goals, it could indicate that she's emotionally checked out. In a healthy relationship, couples often talk about their future together, sharing dreams and making plans that reinforce their commitment to each other. When she starts to avoid these conversations or seems indifferent when you bring up the future, it's a red flag. You might notice that she's less excited about upcoming events that you've planned together, or that she's not initiating plans at all. This lack of interest in future planning might be because she's unsure about the relationship or because she's envisioning a future with someone else. 10. Gut feeling. Lastly, trust your gut feeling. Often, when something is off, your intuition will pick up on it before your mind can fully process what's happening. If you have a persistent feeling that something isn't right, or that she's emotionally involved with someone else, it's important to pay attention to that. Your gut feeling is often a combination of subtle cues and changes in behavior that you might not consciously recognize, but that your intuition is picking up on. For example, you might notice that she's more distant, that her behavior has changed, or that she's spending more time away from you. These changes can create a sense of unease, making you feel like you're losing her even if you can't quite put your finger on why. While it's important not to jump to conclusions, it's equally important not to ignore your intuition. If something feels off, it's worth exploring why. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.